if you want to make any changes to settings and preferences within your application, those are things like the costs within the fine calculator, which drink diving dates are used, and perhaps which default index or default bench books are used. To do that, we have to go into iPad settings. So first of all, I'm just going to close the application. I'm then going to double-click the Home key and stop the Sentencing Guidelines application. Otherwise, the application is still running and settings are not reread. I'm going to go into Settings and scroll down the left-hand side until I find Sentencing Guides. I can adjust the font size of the application. I can pick a default index, so for example I may wish to use group instead of A to Z. If I'm, for example, going in to do a family court, I could set bench book and pronouncements to family. I could use or choose to use the month and days as the terminology for my drink drive disqualification dates. And then we have a section for fines calculations. So if there is a change to the relevant weekly income assumed income, so for instance from 400 to 420, I accept it's still 400, but for our example we'll just increase both of these so we can see that change happening on the fines calculator. And we'll just make a quick change to one of the cost buttons so we can see that reflected inside the fine calculator. So just note of those: 420, 120, 65. Those are the three we've changed. And concerning victim surcharge for offences after the 1st of October, it is 10%. However, it may still be 15% for, of course, offences committed before the 1st of October. So we'll show that change as well. Depending on your bench, you may have different rounding systems to that used by the fine calculator, which is simply mathematic. You could turn off the fines rounding if required. And we have some other options which are really for advanced users. So I can automatically hide the offence toolbar. That's the toolbar at the top of offences. I could turn on thumbnails. I could disable or enable retina display on iPad 3. And finally, I can make toolbar transparency 40% so I can see through it to sentencing guidelines. So that's a number of changes we've made to the application. Let's now restart Sentencing Guidelines. And we can check some of our changes. Firstly, in offences, you can see group is the default listing. So it's grouped index. We also changed court bench books to be family, along with pronouncement cards to be family. And then the other changes. Firstly, the fine calculator. We changed it to £15 for victim surcharge. Eventually, we'll change it back to 10%. We increased the relevant weekly income to 420, employed, and 120 on benefits, and we included a costs of 65 as a change to the standard costs we have in the fine calculator. And a couple of last changes inside the drink drive. We selected months and days as our preferred terminology. And then finally, back to offences. Let's go into an offence, and you can see we have a slightly opaque or transparent toolbar, but also as soon as I click into a page, it disappears. To get it to reappear, I tap at the top, and back it comes. So that's a quick run through the settings for Fine Calculator from your iPad settings on the iPad.